Following breaking news in the Wells Fargo scandal, CEO John Stump is retiring effective immediately. He will be replaced by the bank's president and COO. As you know, the bank came under fire after employees illegally opened as many as 2 million unauthorized bank and credit card accounts without customer knowledge. Wells Fargo fired more than 5,000 low-level employees before the scandal broke. Well, it is sunny now, but don't let this picture fool you. A few hours ago, temperatures made a dramatic drop. Right now, some cold, gusty winds are making it feel a lot cooler than 64. Let's head over to John in the First Alert Forecast Center with more on if these temperatures will stick around. John?
Tell you what, Shaylee, it is going to get colder tonight over the Texas South Plains. Let's take a look up north. We're going to check out the temperature in Plainview, where it's been a little chillier throughout the day, and the winds.
Okay, thanks so much, John. To stay up to date with the latest on what's going on outside your front door, download the KCBD weather app. It is free. Just search KCBD in your app store. If you already have the app, remember that it gets even more advanced when you update it. It is a local unsolved murder case now 25 years later. On the morning of October 12, 1991, Barbara Jean Hinojosa was found stabbed to death in her home in the 200 block of East 37th Street. Investigators say her home was also burglarized. KCBD News 11's Presley Fowler joins us live from outside of that home with the very latest. Presley?
Well, Shaylee, on this 25-year anniversary, Barbara's family is left without answers, but the Lubbock Police Department says the case remains active. Now, lead detective Josh Franco says over even just the last year, detectives have re-interviewed multiple people about this case. And today, I spoke with Barbara's mother, Alice Kerr, who says she has remained strong in her faith through the years, but she hopes for some final answers soon.
I was really uptight at the beginning, but with years that go by, I have been patient. I just would like to have a closure. I'm not the only one that has a case that needs to be solved. I know there's other things that need to be taken care of, and I consider that.
Detective Franco asks if anyone knows something about the case to call either of those numbers on your screen. Now, coming up tonight at 6, we'll hear more from Alice as she remembers her daughter on this tough day. Shaylee?
Okay, thanks so much, Presley. 3 people are charged in a chase that injured a Lubbock County Sheriff's deputy early yesterday morning. Officers arrested and charged 26-year-old Adrian Manjares, 22-year-old Adelaida Robles, and 23-year-old Juan Manuel Garcia. Sheriff Kelly Rose says officers noticed a stolen vehicle during a street crime operation and tried to pull the car over. Slayton officers later spotted that same car violating traffic laws and pursued the vehicle back into Lubbock, where it stopped on Slayton Highway. The chase then continued on foot, and that is when a Lubbock officer was injured.
It was at that point that one of our officers, a gang intelligence officer more specifically, believed tripped and fell in the field, and a responding officer that was coming in still in a vehicle rolled over the top of him.
Again, that officer suffered only minor injuries in the accident. His name has not yet been released. Federal authorities say they don't think terrorism was involved, but a plane crash in Connecticut yesterday was in fact intentional. Authorities investigating the plane crash say the small Piper Seneca was forced down deliberately and that a student pilot was at the controls when it crashed. The plane slammed into a heavily populated area, just barely missing cars as they were driving by.
This plane crash was intentional, but I want to be crystal clear. The circumstances beyond that are still being investigated.
The student pilot was killed, and investigators have interviewed the lone survivor flight instructor.
He did not exit the plane until after impact. So the plane impacted the ground and he was able to extricate himself from the aircraft before it completed burning.
The instructor told investigators there was some kind of argument or struggle for the controls and then the plane crashed, but the instructor does not know why it happened. The man accused of killing 2 Palm Springs, California police officers was formally charged. The Riverside County District Attorney announced that John Hernandez Felix is charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and a number of other charges. The officers were killed Saturday when they responded to a domestic disturbance call at the home of Felix's family. Additional charges included special circumstance allegations of murder of a police officer in the line of duty, multiple murders, and lying in wait.
This individual wanted to kill police officers. He armed himself with a weapon to kill police officers. He put on a vest. so that he would be protected so he could kill police officers. That's the motive. He wanted to gun down police officers because they wore the uniform.
The district attorney went on to say that Felix could be eligible for the death penalty. We are learning new developments in that kidnapping of a Kansas sheriff's deputy. 2 suspects are now in custody. Brady Newman Cadell and William Luth are both charged with kidnapping and rape. Investigators say they kidnapped a female deputy in the parking lot of the jail and assaulted her for hours until she escaped. Authorities released surveillance video of the car used in the attack. Tips from neighbors led police to the home that Newman Cadell shares with his parents. Luth, a married father of 1, was previously arrested for making a bomb threat. Both men are being held on $1 million bonds. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are denying future access to a company that gives user data to police. Geophedia collects searchable data from public posts. The American Civil Liberties Union claims it is used by more than 500 law enforcement and public safety agencies. Geophedia is now being cut off because it has raised concerns that police have used it to track activists during recent protests over police shootings. An Ohio school student is in custody for allegedly planning a school shooting. Police say John Staley III had planned to carry out an attack at Hilliard-Davidson High School. Another student overheard the plot and then reported it. Investigators say he drew out a map detailing the attack and recruited 2 other students to help him.
The diagram laying out the plan, including listed weapons and the personnel and number of people needed to carry it out.
The district removed all 3 of the students from the school. Police arrested Staley, who had visited a gun store and had pictures of assault weapons on his cell phone. The lawyers for Paris bombing suspect Salah Abdeslam have announced they have quit his defense.
We decided to no longer defend Salah Abdeslam. This is not a surrender, it's a renunciation. We know, and he told us that he would not speak, and will use his right to remain silent.
The real victims in all of this, it is the actual victims of the Paris attacks, because they have the right to know the truth and understand the incomprehensible.
Abdeslam is the only survivor of the group of men accused of carrying out the November 13th attacks in Paris. He was Europe's most wanted man before he was captured last month in Brussels after a shootout with Belgian authorities. Get your guns up. Today, activities continue for Texas Tech's homecoming week. At the sub, students can be on the cover of their own comic book with superhero pics. Crew is hosting Tamale Fest behind the Architecture Building, and DJ Dimmers will perform a stand-up show tonight at the Allen Theater. And don't forget to follow News Channel 11 online and on air for all of your Red Raider coverage. Right now, the candidates are urging people to get out and register to vote, and now Donald Trump is lashing out at members of his own party. And Paul Ryan could be in the hot seat over his reaction to a 2005 video of Trump. Plus, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder is in the spotlight, this time for a lawsuit from a Flint resident over the water crisis there. And John will have the latest on if these cooler temperatures will stick around. Today, Donald Trump lashed out at Republican leaders who have given up on his bid for the White House and insisted a big Trump turnout can overcome that and Hillary Clinton's lead in most polls. Steve Handelsman has the latest from Washington. Steve?
Shaylee, roughly 500,000 Americans have already cast their ballots in early voting. And based on the turnout in a couple of key states, Democrats versus Republicans, there's good news for both these presidential candidates and the decision not to prosecute Clinton. From Washington, Steve Handelsman, KCBD, News Channel 11. Shaylee, back to you.
Okay, thanks so much, Steve. House Speaker Paul Ryan is facing backlash from House Republicans over his flap with Donald Trump, and his leadership job may be on the line. Many conservative Republicans are angry with Ryan for not defending or campaigning with the party's presidential nominee. The GOP has been gripped with infighting since a 2005 video surfaced last week showing Trump describing women in vulgar and sexually aggressive terms. Ryan has not withdrawn his endorsement of Trump, but says he will no longer defend him. This tension is significant because there will be another vote for Speaker next month. Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio is now awaiting trial for criminal contempt of court. The federal charges stem from a racial profiling case where a judge ordered Arpaio to stop targeting Latinos during immigration sweeps. Attorneys for the sheriff say he may have ignored orders to stop the sweeps, but it was not intentional. The judge said the sheriff disobeyed a court order to help his re-election campaign. The contempt trial is scheduled to begin on December 6th. Now, if convicted, he could face up to 6 months in prison. A lawsuit has been filed against Michigan Governor Rick Snyder for his role in the Flint water crisis. Carrie Weber filed the claim yesterday, saying Snyder spent $2 million of taxpayer money in the state funds for his own legal representation in the case. The complaint asks for a court in Lansing, Michigan to gather a judge and grand jury for the investigation. A spokesperson for Snyder says the spending is legally sound because the money was used for work-related actions.
The lead levels in our house very currently, unfortunately, are still 1,308 to 1,800 parts per billion. Our lead never came down. It did not get better.
Weber says the water sickened her family with illnesses of liver disease, Legionnaire's disease, high blood pressure, and vision loss. Governor Snyder has apologized for the mistakes his administration made and for prolonging the man-made catastrophe. 9 other people in total have been charged in the water crisis. American Airlines says the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease has been detected in 4 maintenance hangars right here in Texas. One worker from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport showed symptoms of the disease, but has since recovered. Now, if untreated, the respiratory disease can cause pneumonia and lead to death. Samsung wants customers to return their Galaxy Note 7 phones safely, so the tech giant is sending thermally insulated return kits to users who need to ship back the faulty smartphone. The kits come with a static shielding bag for the phone, which goes into a small box. That box goes into a slightly bigger box and then into a shipping box. The outermost box is lined with ceramic fiber paper designed to contain extreme heat. The kit also comes with safety gloves and assembly instructions. Samsung has stopped production of the Note 7 after reports that its replacement devices were catching on fire. We have a traffic watch for drivers, this time in downtown Lubbock. Right now, eastbound traffic on 19th Street between Avenue J and Texas Avenue are reduced to 1 lane as crews complete utility work. Drivers are asked to slow down and drive carefully in the construction zone. The work is expected to last all day.